Oh, hey folks, and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. So, I said on the last live stream that we've got a new selection of Psyker builds, so we're just going to jump into those, and we're going to have a look. So, this is the first one. It is a Surge 4-staff centric build. We're going to be using the Demius Mark IV Blaze 4 sword with Uncanny Strikes and Deflector. If you not get a tier 4 deflector, obviously that's much better because it's a 30% block cost reduced. But I unfortunately only have a third, so no. It's really good though. Deflector is absolutely amazing, especially in this current meta where gunners will strip you of everything within a few seconds. And I mean 2 to 3 seconds, they will strip you and down you. So Deflector is a really nice thing to take with this. And the Demius is just an absolute beast at horde clear. And if you charge it for the special warp charge, you can almost 1 to 2 hit crushers. So it's a beast of a weapon. Then we're using the Surge 4 staff with Unyielding and increased crit with Warp Nexus and Warp Flurry. So this is just going to increase our crit chance and increase the charge time and just increase the damage we're doing to basically everything. But if you want to, you can drop the crit on here and go for Unyielding and Carapace. But I prefer crit and Unyielding just because crit's always good, isn't it? And then for the Curios. So I'm running a combination here, but you can run 2 toughness instead of toughness health if you really want to. Main points on this is to have ability, regeneration and damage resistant gunners, because again, gunners are going to be the thing that wrecks you the most. So I've gone toughness, max health, and the staple of all Psykers is you need that extra stamina. You need the 3 stamina because you will, let's just see the sprint bar. As you can see, you only start with 3. You can block a little bit, but your block will be broken incredibly easily, especially by rages. Without the 3 stamina, you can't dodge very well, you can't block, you're basically hamstringing yourself. I know it doesn't feel great to run a stamina curio, but it is necessary just to give us that survivability, especially in Damnation and Auric missions. Lower, you can probably get away with not having one, but if you're wanting to play at the higher levels, you will need one. Or at least, in my opinion, you will need one. Obviously, do what you want. I'm not your mum, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just my strong advice. Right, so let's look at the talents. As you can see, we're going for a strong start up here and taking basically everything. Soul Stealer replenishes 7.5% toughness on warp attack kill. We're taking Perilous Combustion because we're going to mix that with Wildfire and Creeping Flames just to give us some nice horde damage, and it's going to spread really quickly. Quietude, replenish 5% toughness on each 10% peril quelled. This combines really well with Venting Shriek because at about 85% perils we're going to spam Venting Shriek to bring us back down to between sort of 20 and 35 depending on how many things you hit. Battle Meditation, 10% chance to quell 10% perils on kill. This is just going to keep us ticking. And then Warp Expenditure, replenish 2.5% toughness for every 10% perils generated. And then Perfect Timing, 3% warp damage for 10 seconds on critical hits, stacks 5 times. We're not taking metal, as we don't really have the points to justify it. And we're already getting a lot of toughness regeneration from all of this. Right, so we're going down to, and I know this is going to surprise some of you, Smite. And with this build, it's really, really good. So obviously Smite locks everything in place. Lightning Storm increases its jump. And Enfeeble, enemies affected by Smite take 10% increased damage from all sources. So this is helping your team to basically kill stuff. So this is incredibly good, but also a pitfall if you don't know what you're doing with it. Your job is not to just sit there and go, Crusher, let's just lock him down. You want to be using Smite on very large mixed hordes. So Poxwalkers, including Crushers, Bulwarks, Maulers, everything. And you are there to stop your teammates getting absolutely wrecked. You see someone getting cornered by a load of trash or some, lay out the Smite. You lock them down, you help your team get out of that situation. It does do an incredible amount of damage, especially paired up with some other things down in the tree later on, but I just wanted to explain some of the pitfalls that Smite has. Don't be one of those Psykers that does nothing but Smite. This build is all about chopping and changing between your ranged weapon, your melee weapon, and your blitz. At any given time, you have to assess what's going on and figure out whether it's best to lay down some damage, help out your team, try and mess up some gunners, you know, do some big old damage. The Horde's pushing in on you, switch to melee. The Demios will basically clear through anything, or if you're being pinned down by suppressive fire, deflect, get out of there, reposition, then maybe change to Smite and lock down those gunners. You are capable of doing very high damage, but you have to not get pigeonholed into one aspect of this build. The aspect is there are 3 facets that you have to work through. And every time you change, it is because the situation is changing around you. Lock things down, damaging high priority targets like monstrosities, crushers, bulwarks, maulers, reapers, and as you can see, it does a lot of damage. So that's just something to be aware of this build. Right, let's jump back into the talents. So we're coming down here, grabbing Powers Generation, Wildfire to help with just spreading that damage around. Psykinetics Aura decreases the ability cooldown for you and allies in coherency by 5% on elite or special kill. This is very, very useful and very important to the build, because with this and this, our staff and our sword, we're going to be killing elites all over the place. This is going to give us access to Venting Shriek 95% of the time. Inspiring Presence, 10% toughness replenishment for you and allies in coherency. Stay together. Seer's Presence, 10% cooldown reduction on ability for you and allies in coherency. Again, gives us more access to Venting Shriek. Empathic Evasion, one of the best skills in the tree, in my opinion. A critical hit makes you count as dodging range attacks for 1 second. That is also why I've been pumping the crit up so much on our actual gear and within the tree, because this is an absolute lifesaver. One with the Warp, gain toughness damage reduction of 10 to 33% based on your current perils. Venting Shriek, along with Becalming Eruption and Creeping Flames. So not only is this going to quench your perils, it is also going to lay out a big pile of damage on hordes with its Soul Blaze, and it's also going to decrease peril generation for every enemy hit. Okay, then we're coming down here to get peril resistance. I would have liked it if we'd get Solidarity, but it's too many points to dump into this to really make it worth it. And then we come over here to get 10% health boost, and then some more critical hit chance. And as you can see, we're going for Empowered Psionics, so Warp Rider, Toughness, Empowered Psionics, Overpowering Souls, guaranteed chance to gain Empowered Psionics on elite kill. Charged up, you can now hold 3 charges. Using a Blitz Empowered Psionics as replenishes. We don't really need this. We have so much toughness front loaded in the top of the build that we can go without this. So that is pretty much the build. And this, Empowered Psionics, is what's going to be making Smite so deadly. It's upping the damage from Smite by 300%. And it's generally just going to be a very bad time for any hordes that are coming towards you. This is why, when you have a massively mixed horde and your team is struggling with, you can just drop into Smite, charge it up, and just start laying down that damage. It will clear the horde, and it will also damage all flak and carapace normals inside of it. But it won't do much to crushers or bulwarks. All it will do is lock them down. As you can see, the damage isn't wildly impressive on them. But it does help your team to deal with them. There's one other thing you need to remember as well. With Smite, you can overcharge yourself on it to 100% and it just cuts off. It does not perils you. The only way you can perils yourself with this build is if you overcharge the staff. There we go. But of course, you can just press F to cancel that. Venting Shriek saves you from any mistakes, as long as it's off cooldown, of course. So that's quite a nice little safety boost in there for the build. But yeah, it's actually it's quite a fun build, and I've been running this quite a lot. It's very front loaded with toughness, so it's quite safe, but it's also, I enjoy the fact that you do have to assess every single fight that you're going into, whether it's staff, sword, or blitz. And you have to be super quick off the mark to help your team. Like, most of the time your team will know what they're doing, which is absolutely brilliant. But if you can make it easier for them, the run is going to go so much smoother. If they don't have to worry about getting a maul in the back of the head from a crusher, it's just good for everyone, isn't it? So yeah, I really do hope you enjoy this build, folks. And if you do, please like, subscribe, ring that little bell for notifications. It really does help us out. And I shall see you all for the next one. So until then, take it easy, and I'll see you later.